Hello, welcome back. This is the second part of a stream that I started the other day to go over three main topics, which are React and GitHub and VS Code. And we got most of the way through installing React, doing some stuff on GitHub, and I stopped before I had opened up VS Code and actually done a little bit of coding in React. So that's what I intend to do right now. Still getting used to the streaming thing, but here's hoping everything goes as expected. And so last time I had I downloaded VS Code, so now I'm going to try to install it. After installing VS Code, I'm gonna open it up and look at the code that was generated when we ran a code on command line code that created a new React app. There's Visual Studio Code. I'm gonna go ahead and move it into applications. Oops. And applications. And open it up. What I'm going to do is when it opens, tell VS Code to open up a directory, the directory that has all of the files, because when we ran the command to create a new React router app in specific, it created many files, only a few of which are going to be of interest to us as we get started coding the app itself. Everything's a little slow the first time you open it up, which might explain why this is a little slow. I'm not really interested in this. Agent mode, go away. No. Open up the directory. Which is right there. So now VS Code is going to show all of our files on the left here. And yes, I do trust the authors, because I am the author as well, along with everybody else who set up this template for us. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start looking through the app directory here in my the root directory of my project, First React app. And let's see, they've got a file here called welcome.tsx. TSX, I believe, is a TypeScript file. And so what we have here is a component. React is designed around components. And so you can use just plain JavaScript, or you can use TypeScript as they have here. And although we don't really see a lot of JavaScript here, just a minimal amount of JavaScript. And basically what's happening is it is it's describing the welcome component, which means that let me see, actually, sorry to interrupt myself. Let me try to find kind of the root. This might be the root of it. I'm more used to seeing something called app.js, but that might not be how React Router is doing things at the moment. So it's probably this home route, and then home is also a component, and it's just returning the content of home is just another component called welcome, which takes us back here. And what is welcome? Well, to render the welcome component, the browser is going to render all of this code here, which is essentially HTML, but not really. I believe they call it JSX. I forget what it stands for. But this is what React uses to create HTML. So it is almost identical to HTML with a few little other things thrown in just to make it a little confusing. I'll just show this one right here as an example. So this is an image tag. It's going to create an image on the in the browser. Here, the source, the URL to the image, instead of being given as just a string literal with quotation marks, there are these curly braces, and inside the curly braces is JavaScript code, which in this case is just a variable, which is being imported here. This is just sort of the the React way of doing it, I guess. I'm still getting used to it myself. But basically what they're doing is saying, well, this is the path to the image that I want. Call it this. And then down here, I'm going to refer to it as, using that variable name. And I think part of the reason for that is that this is going to do sort of, it's going to do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Most of the time, it'll just be stuff to kind of help you out and help the development process. For example, I think if we make a change, well, I think if we make a change to our code for our app here with React running, then it will do an immediate refresh in the browser for us. So it's doing all kinds of stuff in the background, like that anyway, in order to make your life easier. But it also means that it does a lot of stuff with files, which I'll get into later if I can. It's stuff that I'm still getting used to myself because I'm more used to plain old school web development, as it were. But blah, 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 blah. So back to this. Another thing I wanted to point out with this image tag, slightly different from just regular HTML. In regular HTML, you would not generally put this slash at the end of the image tag. That is, although you do see that sometimes because it's a style or another related or almost identical language called XHTML, which is just a whole weird topic that goes into the history of how the web has evolved over the past 10 or 20 years. But the point is, regular HTML, you would not generally put this slash at the end of an image tag or other tags that have no child elements. But sometimes you do see that because it is also a style in XHTML or XML, and it's used here in JSX for these elements that don't have any children, like the image element. Other things are a little bit more directly one-to-one. The div pretty much the same as you would see, although in regular HTML you would just say class equals, but here in JSX that would be problematic. Alright, so what I should do is I should go in here. We are still in the first React app directory. So I'm going to npm run dev, which will start the React server. And once the React server has started, I can open it up in my browser and it'll take me to the web page. Okay, so here we are, and I believe if we take a look at this, we'll see that what we have here is our welcome component here. So up here we have these images, the logo. So what's happening, just to kind of look through this a little bit, these two images in a row are a little bit odd. This second one here is hidden, and presumably there's something will go on that could allow it to switch between light and dark mode, and then this upper one would be hidden and the lower one would be revealed. And down here we have the text that we see on the screen here, what's next, and then underneath that they throw in a little bit of React JavaScript here. It's a pretty unnecessary, but it gives us a chance to talk about it a little bit. So in plain HTML, basically, we have an unordered list being created here. And then inside that, we have the curly braces, which are, again, how in this JSX format we can mix in JavaScript code into the HTML. And what it's doing is it's taking this variable, which is an array, and I only know that because where it's calling .map on it. I'll have to go up and look at what it holds. Although we know what it holds because it's rendered as these two links here. So inside resources, there's some information, an href, some text, and an icon in particular that we are going to get from the items in this array, and we're going to use that information to create this list item. So this key here is a React. You wouldn't do this in just plain HTML. It's used in React to disambiguate or identify, I guess is maybe a better way to say it, the different, well, in particular here, items in an array. And that has to do with how React is taking care of rendering everything. And it's pretty good about only updating parts of the document that need to be updated. And what that means is basically just all of what using React is all about. But that may be an exaggeration. But anyway, here we are going through this, mapping the array to a list of list items, where inside the list item is a link with the href set to whatever href that item in the array is, followed by the icon and the text. So let's go up and take a look. I believe, where is resources coming from? I was expecting to see it maybe imported up here, but I don't. I do think it comes from here. I feel like I remember seeing. Oh, no, this isn't it. Where is resources? That's funny. Did I just miss it? Okay, I'm going to try to do a find. Now, I'm doing a VS Code thing here where I'm going to search in every file in the project. So on my Mac, I pressed Command-Shift-F to get to the find in everything, and here it is. Oh, okay. No, it's just... Oh, interesting. I just didn't scroll down far enough. Resources is actually defined down here. So this might seem a little bit odd, but we're exporting the welcome, the function that basically is the code that renders the component. But this code isn't running right away. It's exporting a function. And if we scroll down here underneath it, we see that the function makes reference to this variable right here. So down here we have the array with these two objects in it. Each of these objects has an href, text, and an icon. Interesting here. So the icon is an SVG element with a path. So this is interesting. This is kind of its own topic, but this isn't really particularly React specific. It's just a way, an SVG is an image format, a, what do we call it, vector format, rather than raster, pixel, or whatever we call that. And so what it's saying here is I'm going to have an SVG image, and here it's specifying the width and the height of the image overall. And this element inside it, this path element, has within it this code, which is, you could look it up. It's not terribly complicated how this code correlates to drawing a path, like you would in a vector image editing program like Inkscape, for example. Okay, so having said all of those words, I want to just show you quickly how we can make a change here. I'm going to start with something very small. I don't know, that's silly. What's next, dog? Okay, and there it is. I didn't even have to hit refresh in my browser. As soon as I saved the file in VS Code, it got updated here. And that's not to do with VS Code, but it has to do with how there's when I ran npm run dev in the command line, it started a web server, and there's communication going on between the web server and my React page here that does this this automatic updating when I make a small change or make any change in the code. Okay, I think I might make this a really short video. We just barely got into it, but I've gone over a few important ideas here, and the next step basically is just going more into components, and that means going more into HTML and CSS, and so in the next video we'll get into that a little bit more, but I hope this is useful for somebody out there, and happy coding.